Let's talk about how to start a podcast on YouTube this year. So here's an overview I want you to pay attention to. First of all, I want to give you a bird's eye view of the situation here. Why should you should put your podcast on YouTube in the first place? Well, the thing is that YouTube is actually the go-to video platform. Of course, yes, people think about podcasting as only audio, but you can have a video podcast too. And on top of that, you have nearly 2 billion folks who are flocking to YouTube every single year. That's a lot of folks. I mean, so when you think about podcasting and video podcasting, you can think about Facebook, YouTube, and also Instagram. And the thing is that when you have your podcast on YouTube, you basically have the platform like YouTube allows you to reach a new audience of all ages. This is kind of cool in terms of helping you with scalability, helping you with exposure. You can leverage real-time feedback from the comment section, something that you don't have with the directories. When you actually publish your podcast on podcasting directories, you don't get the comment section that gives you a lot like real-time feedback. You're able to promote episodes with shorter video clips. This is kind of cool. And so YouTube is one of the best content search engines. I mean, as a matter of fact, the number two after Google, and those two are owned by Alphabet. And YouTube has a powerful recommendation algorithm that gets your podcast in front of people listening to similar content. So this is one of those things where you have to be in a situation where you avail yourself of all the capabilities that YouTube has. Okay. So here are the steps I want you to really pay attention to when it comes to starting a podcast on YouTube this year. Step number one, you want to buy your video gear. You can record your video episode in two ways. Neither option requires a lot of podcasting equipment, and both are easy to set up, even for beginners. You can record video remotely. So remote recording tools are great for capturing long distance interviews. This option doesn't require an elaborate setup. Just plug your microphone into your computer or interface, choose it as your input, and then start recording. This recording method is simple and requires little to no post-production. And so our favorite remote recording tools are Riverside, Squadcast, and Zoom. And you can record using an external camera also. And the cool thing is that external cameras capture higher quality video than a webcam and are great for in-person interviews with a co-host or solo podcasters. You can use your iPhone camera attached to an affordable tripod or invest in one of one of those camcorders. You have Logitech C920, Logitech Brio, and Elgato Facecam. So step number one, you want to buy your video gear. Step number two, you want to record the episode. So for HD YouTube videos, recording 1280 x 720 or 1920 or 1080. YouTube thumbnails need to have a resolution of at least 1280 to 720 with a width of at least 640 pixels. This is just fantastic. Boss, welcome back to the show. It's really wonderful to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. Step number three, you want to edit the episode. So you want to edit your episode to cut out like fluff and mistakes to make it flow. For basic edits, you can use a tool like a Lightworks, OpenShot, iMovie. And for more involved editing, consider full-featured video editing software like Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere Pro. So it's all about the goal you want to have when it comes to the quality, the ultimate quality of your podcast. YouTube supports many file types that they actually recommend exporting your podcast episode as an MP4 video format. Step number four, you want to upload video to YouTube. So you can upload your video on your personal YouTube account under your channel in the drop-down menu. Trying to think of the best title with relevant keywords and add chapter markers with timestamps to help viewers navigate your episode. Step number five, you want to publish audio separately to an RSS feed. It's one of those things where if you are trying to really, you want to boost your chances of discoverability. You want to actually expand your constellation of opportunities. This is kind of cool. So if you use a remote recording tool like Riverside, you will find a WAV recording separate from your video. And from there, you can upload the new episode to your podcast host. And Buzzsprout podcasters can also upload an MP4 video file to their dashboard. And this is really cool. So you have some kind of flexibility there, okay? And so besides Riverside, you have Squadcast, you have Zoom also that allows you to do. And you even have Spotify for podcasters. I mean, Spotify for podcasters. This is really cool. Also, it used to be called Anchor, back in the day. So this is really fantastic. So you have a lot of flexibility there. And if you actually recording in person, we suggest recording your audio content directly to recording software so you have separate audio and video files. Plus, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about how to start a podcast on YouTube this year. Let me give you some smart moves here. So the first thing you want to do here is that, it's really important to understand that when we talk about actually starting a podcast on YouTube, you have four popular ways to start and upload a podcast on YouTube. Okay, you can convert your audio files into video. You can present a podcast on your webcam. You can use external cameras to record the show, or you can use screen capture to record the show. So you have all kinds of possibilities there. Okay. And so let's first talk about the first one. So you can convert your audio files into a video. This is actually the simplest and the easiest approach if you want to start a vlog for your podcast. If you want to spend as little time as possible uploading your podcast to YouTube, start here. All you need is you just need to convert your audio file into a video and add a static graphic to the background. So first create the background image. Try using simple graphic design software like Canva or Snappa. This is kind of cool. So you have all kinds of possibilities here. This is really good. And once you have that, you are able to scale. This is really cool. So number one, so you have convert your audio file into a video. Number two, you want to present into, you can actually present into your webcam. And it's one of those things where you have to see what really works for you. And if you want to take a step further and create some very easy video content, try presenting your podcast directly into your webcam. This setup is actually the perfect way to test out uploading a podcast to YouTube because you don't need to purchase any equipment really when you think about it. You just plug your microphone into your computer and use the webcam that's built into your computer. So you can use a Zoom, you can use a QuickTime, you can use Zoom rather to record yourself speaking. So just make sure that your microphone settings are set up properly so the tool is picking up your podcast mic instead of the computer's built-in one. You can either record everything in one shot with little post-production editing, or you can use a vlog style edit where you take out any short mistakes and piece everything together later on. So it's one of those things where you have to see what really works for you. The third thing you can do here is to set up external cameras where you record. Actually, so if you're trying to really start a podcast on YouTube, let's say you conduct your podcast at a desk in a presentable room, consider setting up a camera to capture your performance as a video podcast. This is kind of cool. And it's one of those things where you want to really, you can record yourself. You can record an episode for your YouTube channel using external cameras where you record. You don't need elaborate equipment for this. You can get high quality recording with just your microphone. Sometimes it's just better to start where you are at. Okay, don't try to really complicate things here. And so the set behind you doesn't need to be intricate either. Place your camera where you record and take note of what it sees, and make the area in the frame presentable, and you're good to go. And podcasters who use this setup tend to record episodes in one shot, and that's what you need anyway. You really want to have some kind of efficiency in the whole process. Okay. And you will still need some post-production editing, but it's important to capture great video and audio on the first try. Otherwise, you'll have to re-record some of your conversation. And to help, spend extra time on your podcast script and getting on the same page as your co-host or guest. So you can really get things running smoothly. Next, you want to use the screen capture so you can script capture yourself and your remote guest. So let's say if you conduct your podcast interviews remotely using a tool like Squadcast or Zoom, set it to capture a video along with the audio. So you'll end up with a split screen video so you can upload a podcast to YouTube. And this is kind of cool. So you can record, you can do a split recording using Zoom or Squadcast or even Podbean for that matter. And most podcasters who use this method also do the episode recording in one take. This takes some more preparation upfront, but means little to no editing in the end, which is the situation you want to be in the first place. Okay, but one thing I want to say here is that when we talk about podcasting in general and the ability for you to start a podcast on YouTube, you got to really understand it's all about having the reality. It's all about having the possibilities that you can really get into a better or even better content with your team. What I'm trying to say here is that when you understand that podcasting on YouTube is big business, you understand that the possibilities are there and the potential is there. It's really important to understand that when we talk about podcasting on YouTube, everything is big business, right? It's really a huge business. You are able to reach listeners who prefer watching videos. Some listeners are not into audio. I mean, we all know that when we talk about podcasting, it's primarily audio, but some people are just more into videos, okay? So it's one of those things where you have a massive audience, 2 billion folks, and so people want to consume all of the content through videos. So if you're able to do a video podcast, think about the extra niche that you can actually tap into, and you can promote your episodes with shorter clips. So if you do not want to come, let's say you want to publish your complete episodes on YouTube, maybe your episodes on 2 hours or 1 hour, because you have a very long format. You can have shorter clips, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, to sort of entice people to download the full episode in their preferred podcast listening app, which could really help you in terms of monetization later on also, because it's all about having multiple avenues for revenue. Okay, multiple avenues for revenue. So that's really good. You have sponsor revenue. You can have other ways to monetize. And people are actually on YouTube, at least on YouTube, people are more likely to watch a video, a 5 minutes or 7 minutes video, than watch a 45 minutes or 1 hour video. It is what it is. Every platform is different, right? I mean, if you were interested in having like a long format YouTube podcast, you can have it on YouTube, but also have a Vimeo account. That way, you are increasing the possibilities of being seen by people who really are interested in having long format in terms of their podcast. You can also use one of the reasons why you want to be on YouTube is to increase engagement by interacting with listeners, and you are able to do this because there is a section in YouTube called the comment section. This is where everything happens, the magic happens, so to speak. And you're able to comment, you're able to do a lot of things. And also don't forget that you can use YouTube analytics to your advantage. And so on YouTube, you can actually view data on who watches your podcast video, how long they engaged with it, and how they found it. This is kind of cool. This is really cool. And one of those things is that you cannot get this type of analytics, at least at this granular level, on other platforms. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about how to start a podcast on YouTube. One thing I want to say here is that you can earn money with YouTube advertising opportunities, that's for sure. And the thing is that when we talk about advertising opportunities, we're speaking about big opportunities, okay? It's hard to find podcast sponsors when you don't have many downloads. YouTube doesn't care about that. You won't make a lot of cash, but you can make something off of your content just by getting views. Over time, when you have a healthy library of content, this can turn into serious revenue for you. This is kind of cool. And you can create bonus video content for paying subscribers. It's one of those things where YouTube allows you to have some kind of possibility in terms of monetizing your potential, if you will, monetizing your podcast with potential. This is kind of cool. So when we talk about you having multiple avenues for revenue, it's really important to understand that beyond ads, beyond the CPM, the cost per milli, you have other forms, other ways to actually earn money on YouTube. That's for sure. Okay, it's one of those things where you have to know how you actually position yourself to know exactly what works and what doesn't work. One thing I want to say here is that when we analyze the YouTube strategy, your YouTube strategy, you got to have a clear idea what really works and what doesn't work for you. And remember, YouTube actually is now all in on podcasting. They're really doing massive investments. There is actually a dedicated YouTube your podcast page on YouTube. You can see this on the screen here, and this shows that this video behemoth that YouTube is really going gung ho on podcasts, which is great for creators like you, because it just means that they are going to put a lot of cash into the niche, and they are going to draw with them a lot of advertisers. So this is kind of cool. And one thing I want to say before closing to this conversation is that there is some video equipment recommendations to start a podcast on YouTube. in terms of mic, in terms of headphones, in terms of pop filter, in terms of boom mount. Now we do have an entire video that will cover that, so I'm not going to go into much detail about that. But one thing I want to do is that you basically will need a camera if you have to start video podcasting. We recommend something inexpensive and easy to use. Don't worry too much about the camera's audio capabilities because you'll be capturing audio through your mic. Okay, if you have the cash, it's just better to go with something something great from the get-go, so that you can leverage this audio quality and video quality in the. Let me give you a winner here. So I want to share with you a few of the best podcasts on YouTube. And it's really important to understand that, you want to publish your podcast on YouTube. This is really commercially viable for you. And you got to really look for the inspiration of who is really killing it right now on the platform. So the first one is H3 podcast. I want you to look on the screen here. This podcast is produced by Ethan and Hila Klein, the same couple who produces the H3 Productions. And so that's actually the YouTube channel. And so whereas their traditional YouTube channel consists of lighthearted and surreal sketches, as well as, let's say, comedic reactions to video, their podcast channel interviews politicians, filmmakers, musicians, actors, writers, comedians, and other YouTubers. So that's just fantastic. Second one is Joey Diaz. Actually, it used to be called the Church of What's Happening Now. Now he has rebranded it. It's called now Joey Diaz. Fantastic character. It's actually he is a regular on the Joe Rogan Experience, and it takes you on an audio journey into his opinion on just about anything and everything. So his humor is loud, bold, and only for adults. So most of his guests are comedians who regale you with stories of life on the road, on-stage bombs, and the antics of a party lifestyle. You also have a Tiesto. So Tiesto is a DJ, and so Tiesto's Club Life is the DJ Tiesto's weekly radio show that was formerly broadcast on Radio 538 in the Netherlands, and it features a variety of electronic dance music, including progressive house, electro, trance, and down-tempo, all selected by Tiesto, and other DJs appear as guests as well. So his radio show episodes have been converted into one of the best YouTube podcasts for music discovery. Fantastic. You also have Peter Schiff podcast. So Peter Schiff is a great dude. I mean, we love him a lot. Very, very smart. He's an economist, financial broker, dealer, author, and a frequent guest on national news programs. And his goal is to educate his audience about free market economics and the principles and benefits of individual liberty, limited government, and sound money. So his financial advice will arm you with knowledge and help you prepare for difficult economic times, especially what we just had a few years ago with the COVID drama. So you also have the other podcast I want to share with you is the Art of Manliness podcast. And this podcast is fantastic. It wants to help men become better men and understand their lives, culture, and themselves. They conduct actually in-depth interviews with expert authors and thinkers in hopes to recapture the classical ideals of manliness. Fantastic. You also have Ear Biscuits. Ear is another great player. So Ear Biscuit is one of the best YouTube podcasts for entertainment. So this is just fantastic. Let me give you a few pro tips here before we actually pivot a little bit. So when we talk about starting a podcast on YouTube, there are some best practices for podcasting on YouTube. And it's really important that you got to create a public playlist for your podcast with all your full episodes. So if you have, let's say if you have multiple podcasts, you want to create a separate playlist for each one. You want to order videos the way you want viewers to see them. It's all about sequential logic here. So if you have a narrative-driven show, post old videos first. If you have a topical show, you want to publish the newest episodes first. You want to make your playlist title the same as your podcast title. And so this is both for consistency, but also for SEO. So keeping your title consistent helps your current listeners find you on a new platform. This is really good in terms of discoverability. You want to write a comprehensive description for your playlist. Make it easier for a new viewer to understand what your content is all about. And create a second channel with short clips that can go viral. And posting clips of your episode is great for social media, can boost your SEO and drive traffic to your podcast or website. You also want to link to an episode within description. So subscribers, they are your biggest metric of success in podcasting. So to encourage viewers to subscribe to your podcast, include a link within your episode description. So this is really good. And but whatever you do on YouTube, do not mix clips with your full episode playlist. Do not make playlist descriptions too wordy. Do not ignore the description box, and do not actually use a static image of your podcast cover art. This is really important, especially in the long run. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to start a podcast on YouTube. And let's do a quick recap here. So I gave you the overview, the steps, the smart moves, the winner, and now the pro tips. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.